Yeah, we're not doctors or giving any medical advice. This show is intended for educational purposes only, and you should talk to your doctor about any medical issues. Now, let's get at it.
Welcome to Chat the Fat, where nutrition authors Nissa Gron and TC Hale are going to break down common low-carb mistakes. Let's chat all things low-carb, keto, digestion, and more so you can maximize your results.
Hello, good people, and welcome back to Chat the Fat. This is episode 83, I think, or is it 84?
84.
All right. This is episode 84. I'm TC Hale, and I'm here with Nissa Gron, who already said some stuff.
Yes, we are here.
I'm here to confirm this is episode 84.
All right. So we got the episode number down. Let's get down what we are talking about today.
Getting to business.
Yeah, I think this year has just been crazy for all of us. It's like the year that will not end, but somehow it is finally coming to an end and the holidays are upon us.
Whoa.
So we've already had questions, and there's a lot of ketoers that are starting to figure out a strategy for them to stay on track for the upcoming holidays that mostly revolve around food. We have Thanksgiving, which is supposed to be about giving thanks, but let's face it, it's really all about the food.
Mm-hmm.
So this is especially important after the year most of us have had, with so many people adding an extra 15, 20, or even more quarantine pounds. So today, let's talk about 3 strategies you can use to stay on track during the holidays so you're not vowing to start all over again once January 1st rolls around.
All right.
If you are planning on making any resolutions this year, there's no better chance for you to gain the momentum and motivation you need with our next keto challenge. We are just finishing up our current challenge where our group of challengers lost over 200 pounds in the first 2 weeks alone. Our top 5 challengers so far are all down 10 pounds or more in the first 2 weeks. And just like those election results are taking forever, because at this recording we still have no idea,
No clue.
we are anxiously awaiting who we will crown the October 2020 Keto Challenge champ. While you wait for the next Keto Challenge to roll around this January, you can get started now with some of our best tips so you can prepare to compete for that big $500 prize. Be sure to check out our free Keto Masterclass, where we share 3 big mistakes so many challengers make before they come into the challenge, and then they get results like losing 10 pounds or more in only 2 weeks once they stop making those mistakes. So if you want in on their secrets, watch our keto class on demand right now. You can go to eatingfatistheNewSkinny.com/masterclass.
Yeah. And this, that challenge in January is going to be a lot of fun, I think, because, we had so many more people do the challenge this time. And, January is always the most popular time for somebody to want to do a challenge or lose weight and all that kind of stuff. So that could be a really, really fun one.
Yeah, it's going to be big. A lot of people, I think, are going to be done with 2020. They're ready to move on
Yeah, right.
to 2021, and they're ready to get big results.
Right.
All right. So while you are headed over there to watch our free class, I thought today we could talk about 3 strategies that you can use to keep your momentum going during the holidays.
Okay, strategy number 1 is one that I call just eat the holiday meal. Oh, I didn't call it that at all. You did, but you go ahead and explain what that
Do
means.
you agree with that, or do you
I
disagree with that?
No, I think that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how you feel about that, but it's actually a strategy that I follow on a lot of holidays. So, you go into a lot of keto podcasts where they'll give you all these secret tricks to stay keto, but sometimes you just want to eat the holiday meal. And so,
Right. And I'll say that the current Tony can do that and get away with it, and it's fine with me. But old school Tony, that for 8 years didn't eat a carb or anything that was wrong, I wouldn't have done that. But and a lot of people are in that boat or should be in that boat. And it really just depends on what are you trying to improve. Do you have like a lot of weight you want to lose? How important and how fast do you want to do that? Or what is the health issue that you're trying to improve? So my health issue was significant, as in I can't talk. So that was a big deal to me. So I did everything I could to help improve that faster. And part of that was not having holiday meals. But now that my health is fine and I can do things like that, now that is fine for me to do, and I feel fine with it.
Yeah. And I think this year obviously has been crazier than most. There's so much unnormalcy, which I don't even know if that's a word, but I'll
I
just
like the word though.
some people, maybe you just need to give yourself a break from keto, which we don't recommend often, especially at the beginning, but sometimes you just need a break and you just need to enjoy your time with your family without stressing about what you're going to eat. I mean, unless, of course, you're in California, which you just moved away from, because it sounds like the governor in California isn't really allowing that family meal. But anywhere else, just give yourself a break, and that can be the best thing that you might need to do for yourself.
Right.
um, when you approach the holidays correctly, as in you look at them as just one day or even sometimes just one meal, instead of falling off track for an entire week that might lead to an entire month, it's really only one or two meals that you're indulging in. And sometimes that indulgence is just completely worth it. It's worth not having to stress over what to make and what to eat, and it might be worth it for you.
Right. And what I do and what can work for a lot of people is I feel fine going off course because I know I'm going to go off course ahead of time. I know what I'm going to do and when I'm going to eat it. So that also means that I know exactly when I'm going to get right back on track. And it's usually right up the next day. So when you can do the next right thing and you understand how to do that and put yourself right back on track, then you don't have to beat yourself up for a meal that may not have been optimal for you because you put it right into your plan.
Yeah, and I feel like it comes down to knowing yourself, because if you know that you can just go and do the next right thing and you'll do it, then this is a good strategy for you. But if you're someone who knows that once you get a taste of carbs, that your plan's out the window for the next week or month or however long, it might not be the best strategy for you, because then you're going to fall off keto and you won't be able to get back on, or at least without a lot of struggle. So you definitely have to know yourself when you're following this strategy.
Right. Or maybe you just started keto 2 or 3 weeks ago and all of a sudden things are finally really feeling great and you've never felt this great and it's all going well. That might be a reason that you don't want to go off track for your holiday meal. And we'll talk about some ways that you can do that as well too. But, so it really is about what's important to you and where you are. Because for some people, if it took them 2 weeks to get into ketosis and everything's going great right now and you're going to go have a holiday meal, you might be having another 2 or 3 weeks of misery trying to get back into that good state again.
Yeah, but for everyone else, I think, just eating the meal is a good strategy, because when we talk about keto, we don't talk about it as a diet, because diets don't really work, but we have to talk about it more like a lifestyle. And so when you're not being super strict with yourself and following strict rules, even when you just want to celebrate with your family or have some good family time, that can help you stay on track. But if you just look at it through a dogmatic view where you have all these strict rules, that's when you might start to lose weight at the beginning. But eventually, that overly strict diet can actually catch up with you and backfire, because if you're being too strict, you might just say screw it and then
You
start
might
binge.
snap and 12 donuts in, you realize, yeah,
Yeah.
oops.
And for some people, going off their plan for a day or so might even be helpful, because like we teach with our ready set keto method, we talk about occasional carb up days. Granted, a Thanksgiving meal might be a pretty big carb up day. Sometimes just like taking a break from keto can actually kick your body back into gear when it comes to burning fat. So we teach this in our course, the Ready Set Keto course, and we teach that most people don't want to stay in ketosis indefinitely. And sometimes purposely kicking themselves out is a strategy, as long as you're following the carb up rules that we teach. Because if you're just, eating a Thanksgiving meal every time you have a carb up day, that might backfire.
Right. Or if you're eating a carb up day when you shouldn't be eating a carb up day, because there's a lot of times and a lot of people that should not be using carb up days yet until they get more fat adapted or less insulin resistant or more into ketosis. There's a lot of rules that we kind of talk about on that course. So uh, don't hear carb up day and think that that's a great idea for everybody. It's really, really not.
Yeah, even though we're talking about being less strict, we have two entire sections just based on this strategy alone. So there are rules you need to follow in order to make it more effective when it comes to weight loss. So definitely don't just, eat any carbs and think you're doing yourself a favor, because you're really just cheating.
Right. But that is how I do it. Like if I'm viewing a holiday meal coming up or some kind of celebration or something where I know I'm going to go off track, I just put that on my carb up day because I've been doing this long enough to use carb up days and have that work for me. So I just put them together. And
Yes.
then it happens to be a carb up day that also has foods that I would not normally put on a carb up day.
Yeah. In the past, I have cooked big keto Thanksgiving meals, and like even my non-keto family actually like it better. So even if you are having a meal where you're going to have more carbs, you can still have some of the keto foods you love in there. You
Right.
can mix it up and do both.
Right.
And then I wanted to add one more bonus strategy to this first strategy because it is something that I do follow most days, especially on holidays. And I usually fast up until the time it's time to eat that big meal because I'm already fat adapted. So, I can vary my fasting times and not really have any consequences from stress. So if you are fat adapted, you can give your body time to burn through your stored fat earlier in the day, and that way it won't be quite as damaging if you eat a bigger meal later in the day.
Right. And you're not only fat adapted, but you have a good fasting muscle. You've tested that out. So if someone were to be like, oh, well, I'll just fast the day before Thanksgiving, even though I've never fasted before, and then you cram that big meal into your mouth, that story is going to stick in your family for a while as all that meal comes back out in the living room in the middle of a football
Yeah, we have stories like that, unfortunately, from
game.
yeah, but we'll talk about that later. All right, so that is our first strategy. Strategy number two is what a lot of people will tell you is you can go into the holiday prepared with keto-friendly options. So if you are brand new to keto, if you've only been doing it a few weeks and you haven't really given your body a chance to become fat adapted by following keto the right way for any amount of time, then you might not necessarily want to cheat just because it's a holiday. Since it can take some people several weeks to get into ketosis, or some people even several months if they're not doing the right things, then having one big meal like a Thanksgiving feast can kick them out. And it can take you another week or 2 weeks or longer to get back in. So, having a cheat meal when you're just getting started out probably isn't the best idea, even if it's a holiday cheat meal.
Right. That can be a big deal.
And then, what about so if you do go into keto or if you go into Thanksgiving prepared with keto-friendly foods, can't eating too many keto-friendly foods kick you out of
Well,
ketosis?
just eating too much food can kick a person out of ketosis if it's just too much food altogether. And a lot of times on Thanksgiving, when it's just a social thing and the whole social thing is to eat, and there's so many delicious things, you can cram too much in, and that can be a problem.
Yeah, especially for some people that are sensitive to protein. If you're eating all that turkey, that protein can start to add up. Also, a lot of keto version foods like even mashed cauliflower potatoes or any keto friendly desserts, they do have carbs, and when you eat enough of that it could be enough to kick you out of ketosis, and if you're trying to stay in ketosis then that could be a problem.
Right.
And like we already talked about, if you know that you're someone who is going to spiral out of control, then skip that regular Thanksgiving meal and definitely bring options that will be helpful for you. So, some of the options that I've used in the past, because I have made keto friendly Thanksgivings before, is obviously turkey. That's pretty keto friendly. And to make it even more keto friendly, I just add butter to it, which I
Just
actually did when I was younger.
right.
I used to eat turkey sandwiches with butter. So now I just take off the bread and eat turkey with butter. And it's actually really good like that. Thankfully, with Thanksgiving, a lot of the green veggies that you have are good. And again, you'll just need to add some butter, maybe some salt. Um, like I just mentioned, you could bring cauliflower is pretty much a replacement for anything. So if you guys eat rice on Thanksgiving, which some of my friends do, you could bring cauli rice. You could bring cauliflower mashed potatoes instead of the real thing. So just look for cauliflower as an easy substitution for pretty much anything or other keto friendly substitutions. There's plenty of them out there.
Right. So what's nice is when there's things like turkey and vegetables and stuff like that will work. You don't have to bring the whole meal. You could bring two or three things and put the things that you brought together with some of the other things that'll work. And all of a sudden, you just seem like you're eating like everybody else is.
Yeah. And I do like to caution people that even though you're bringing the keto friendly options for you, you always need to bring extra because those are the foods that actually go first. I
Right.
have planned birthday parties and holidays, And I always like bring bread and whatnot for my friends and family to enjoy, and it just sits there. No one eats it. They want the real food.
Right. If you're bacon wrapping things, that's gonna go.
Yeah, so don't, make sure you share. People are going to want to, they're going to see your good food and they're going to want to share with you. So always bring extra. I personally like to cut up cucumbers, and I cut up a lot because I eat a lot. And then I just bring my own favorite high fat dip. And, that way I stay away from all of the delicious appetizers that aren't right for me.
Right.
So instead of eating like chips and dip, I'll just eat the cucumbers with dip. Another recipe I have on my website is for festive cream cheese balls. And these are basically just, little cheese balls with pecans, bacon, green onions. I forget what else is on it, but they're really good. And they're really a good option to bring and something else that everyone will eat. So make sure you bring extra.
And,
And
and
then,
you know what else I used to do a lot was is I would eat before I went to some type of function so that I don't show up starving and oh, there's only these stupid choices and now I have no choice but to eat this kind of stuff. So I would eat before I go, and if there's good options, I would have some, and if there wasn't, I wasn't hungry anyways.
yeah, you're definitely more in control than if you're starving and you're just kind of grabbing anything that you can throw on your plate. So if you go feeling good, then you can eat the stuff that will keep you feeling good.
Right.
One final thing that I always make for Thanksgiving, whether it's keto or not, are these low carb pecan bars I have on my website. And my family, every time I make them, they actually fight over them, like who gets what, because they're so good, even for people who don't eat keto. They're just so delicious that they will fight over leftovers. And I want to eat them all. I'm the one who made
Right.
them. If I want them, I have to hide them.
Right. That's pretty much how it is in my house with bacon.
um, So another strategy that kind of goes along with this one is, even if I do decide to stay keto on the holidays, I'm definitely much less strict. So like a lot of days if I'm trying to lose weight, I will log what I eat or write it down in a journal and make sure I keep a pretty steady track on carbs. But when it's a holiday, I'll just more gear myself towards low carb foods and not necessarily be so strict.
Right.
All right. So don't feel like you have to be super strict just because it's a holiday. All right. Strategy number 3 is when keto is too hard to follow, go back to a low carb plan for a little while. And this one is good whether it's the holidays or maybe some other stressful time in your life where keto is just too hard to stick with. That's not a reason to just give up on your keto lifestyle entirely.
Like a
And
2 week vacation or something like that.
yeah, and when we're talking about a keto lifestyle, we're not really just talking about following keto macros. We're talking about sticking with foods that are lower in carbs and eating mostly real foods whenever you have that option. But we also talk about things like reducing stress and getting better sleep, all of the other important lifestyle factors that we teach in our set phase of our Ready Set Keto method. So while following macros appropriate for you is important, there's still a lot more that goes into a keto lifestyle than just keeping your carbs low and eating more fat. But just because counting keto macros may be too hard or maybe too stressful for you during holidays or at other times in your life, you shouldn't use that as an excuse to just go back to eating the way you did before keto. You can still add in more carbs and still have success with a less strict version of keto without throwing away all of the hard work that you put into it.
Right. Yeah. And the thing you don't want to do is just have all those carbs, but still do your high fat keto macros as well. When you're going to go to more lower carbs and you're going to increase those carbs where the carbs are a little bit higher and it's more of a low carb diet, then you want to bring your fats down some too.
Yeah, and that's something that, especially if you follow keto for a while, you will fall victim to because you get used to eating all these high fat foods and
Fat bombs and yeah.
they become staples. And like I follow probably more low carb than I do keto right now, and you're just so used to eating like the fat bombs or adding butter to everything, and then once you start bringing back in more carbs, no matter if you're experienced with keto or not, you're still going to put on weight.
Right.
So definitely, if you are, you can lower your carbs. You just never want to go back to the habits that got you into trouble in the first place, because then you will regain everything you lost and you'll have to start over from scratch. And for a lot of people, backing down to low carb, some people can still lose weight at that level. And some people, all they do at low carb is just maintain what they lost, which doesn't sound that exciting. But if you're maintaining what you lose, you're definitely way ahead of the curve. You're way ahead of where most people are, where they go on a diet for a few months, they stop it, and then they gain everything back.
And plus more usually.
Yeah, plus more. So sometimes there's nothing wrong with maintaining. And that's what I've noticed actually with quite a few of our keto challengers lately, whether they realize it or not. They come into the challenge and they have 21 days to just really focus on themselves and focus on their goals. And they use that focus to get some pretty big momentum. And then they use all of the habits they learned while following the keto challenge to just kind of coast like in between challenges. And, maybe they want to lose weight, maybe they'll lose another 5 or 10 pounds in between challenges. Um, but they don't stress themselves out. They just kind of go back to living their life. And they know when the challenge comes back that they'll have that time to be motivated and that momentum, and they'll get back to losing weight. And so if you kind of follow that strategy where you like really put in the work for a few weeks, you really focus on yourself, and then you give yourself a little bit of slack, but you're still maintaining, by the end of the year, you could still lose 50 pounds and it doesn't even really feel like you struggled to get there.
Right. And I kind of cycle through different things as well, too, depending on what I have going on and what my goals are at that meantime, how much I'm working out, all that kind of stuff. So I cycle through different things and I don't do the same routine all the time throughout the whole year.
Yeah, and I find like a lot of our challengers, they use that time, they really focus on themselves, but they're not gaining the weight back. And that's what I've always done. A lot of people always do. They diet really hard. They want to see those 2 pounds on the scale gone every single week. And it's so hard. And then, like, once they can't do it anymore, they just give up completely.
Right.
If you just go back to maintaining for a while, give your body some time to adjust, then eventually you can get back to a little bit more strict version when you feel ready, when a time is better for you.
Right.
All right. So, yeah, that's pretty much what all we have to say. The 3 strategies to make it through the holidays is strategy number 1, just eat the meal. Or if you haven't been following keto for very long and you want to stay in ketosis, make sure you bring some keto-friendly options with you and some extra to share. And then finally, if keto is too hard for you to follow, just try to back it down and go to a low carb plan for a little while instead of just giving up completely.
Right. And the best thing with any of those options is just know what your plan is, be okay with it, be happy with your plan, and then just follow through with that plan and you'll feel great about it.
All right, I think that is a good plan. And of course, if you want to learn even more about staying on track this holiday season, definitely watch our Keto Masterclass so you can avoid 3 big weight loss mistakes so many ketoers keep making that are keeping them stuck. These mistakes are actually taught to dieters by other weight loss experts. And even if the expert told you to keep following the mistakes, but you're not getting the results you want, it's probably showing that they're wrong. So stop making those mistakes and start getting better results by watching our free masterclass at eatingfatisthenew.com/masterclass.
All right, awesome. And if you need anything to check out the show notes for this episode, you can get that at chatthefat.com/episode 84.
Okay.
Okay, we are wrapping it. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
True that. Bye-bye.
Whether you're brand new to keto or just looking to move past roadblocks, join us for our next Troubleshooting Keto Master Workshop. Go to chatthefat.com/workshop to find upcoming dates and register for this totally free event. You just might find your missing piece of the puzzle. Until then, we'll see you next week on Chat the Fat.